Hello and welcome back to Buggleskelly Station. Hope you're all well. Looking forward to seeing how the Sodor layout's coming together. I've been meaning to post this for a few weeks, but it's been pretty crazy here. In particular, most recent Thursday, when my new Northwestern trucks arrived into stock and sold out within 2 hours of being posted on Twitter. So special thanks to Sodor expert Luke Ryan for retweeting that, spreading the word, starting the ball rolling. They have all now sold, but I placed a new order with Dapol, and you can find a link to pre-order some of the new batch in time for Christmas, so there'll be a link in the description. So back to the layout, and first things first, it now has a name. I wanted it to be set around Crovan's Gate, where the Skarloey and Northwestern Railways meet in the books. But further into the hills, as if the standard gauge line had ventured as far as it could get. And I've decided on the name Crovan's Castle. So the right hand side helix, that part of the layout, will be eventually hidden under a castle ruin. So this past month I've been laying track and fitting point motors, which doesn't sound like a massive job, but it turns out that the Bachmann narrow gauge locos really struggle with the inclines, well, especially Skarloey does. So it's been a lot of trial and error to get that right, and what I've done is I've bought probably the UK supply of Woodland Scenics foam risers to try and get it to work properly. This isn't something I ever thought I'd buy, as they work out quite expensive, what's essentially pieces of foam, but they have proven invaluable really, and I know the gradient is steady, which helps the locos keep traction. To stick the foam to itself and the plywood boards, I've been using Power Bond grab adhesive from Wilko, which is about £3 a tube, sets very quickly. It's also not so hard that the wire foam cutter will still go through it when it's needed. Wherever I need any points that need reinforcing, such as bridges, places where the points will be, I cut away some of the foam, replace it with 3mm plywood. It's strong but thin enough that a few passes with a sharp blade will cut right through it. Now, fitting point motors has always been something that's been a bit daunting, so much so the Buggleskelly Mark 1 and 2 never had any fitted. But with so many points on this layout, I decided to get them fitted, get it over and done with early on. And what I've decided to try is the new PECO TwistLock motors, which are designed to clip into place so they can be easily removed if needed. Well, on a conventional layout, mine's all raised above the baseboard, so they're all slotted under raised 3mm boards with the wires fed down under the main baseboard. They come with an easy guide to drill holes down to the top of the board, which eliminates the guesswork of working from below. So for the raised sections that are resting on the foam, I cut away a small area of foam using the hot wire foam cutter, and then I replace it with a 3mm plywood board, just cut to size. Then using the paper template, I position it onto the board, secure it with sellotape, and line up the drill hole with the hole in the point tie bar. It's actually a lot simpler than this picture looks, because each colour shown there is for a different track gauge, so we're using the green 9mm guide for the narrow gauge track. And the holes are then drilled through and the piece is turned over. This is where, if you were placing points directly onto the baseboard, you'd need to get underneath it, or if possible tip the board up onto its side. These little red plastic pieces are screwed into the underside of the board, and then the motor clips into place, and then it's a case of just using very sharp snippers or a Dremel to cut off the excess pole and fit the board into place. I then repeated this process for every point motor, cutting out the sections of the raised foam to give space for the point motors underneath. The only downside with this method is if I have any issues with the point motors down the line, then it might be a bit harder to take them out, but I should be able to just remove a bit of retaining wall and cut the foam away to get at these if I need to. I used 2mm cork for the road bed, which acts as a means of deadening sound, raising the profile of the track. This is self-adhesive 20mm wide strip that I found on eBay, and it's really useful. It comes in rolls, and it has enough give to stretch around bends. But what I found is that if I cut the strips in half, it would go around even the really tight radiuses on Crovan's Castle. As PECO Flex Track doesn't have pinholes in it, I pinned the track down temporarily and then marked each sleeper where there was going to be solid foam underneath. I used a small pin drill to make holes and then push the pins into place. And obviously when I come to ballast the track later, it'll all be held down securely. But it's fine for now, we can run trains, it doesn't move at all. For the standard gauge sections, the cork strip was laid without cutting, and this works out to be the correct width. The final task was to use wire connectors and link up all the track power feeds, the point motor power feeds, make sure they could all run off the controller, and I've extended each pair of point motor wires to stick through the front of the board so they'll eventually be wired into a little control panel with a bank of switches. So that's the update, really. Sorry it's taken a month, but it's hard to find time around work and even harder to film things. You know, sometimes doubles the amount of time it takes to do anything when you're filming it. So please leave any comments or questions below. Feel free to add me on Twitter. The link's in the description. And if you'd like to get hold of the Northwestern trucks, which I have here, do please place a pre-order today. As I say, the first batch sold out. There were 100 trucks. They all went in less than 2 hours. So you will need to pre-order. And Dapple said that they'll be with me by Christmas. So hopefully, you know what supply chains are like at the minute. Hopefully they'll be with me by Christmas. And it means my next job is to package up the 100 or so trucks that need to go out. So I'll get on with that. And thanks for watching. Bye-bye.